Today, we're diving into a book on war that's over 2,000 years old. But its main point? It's pretty surprising. It says the best way to win is, well, to not fight at all. We're talking about the incredible, timeless wisdom of Sun Tzu's The Art of War. So let's start with the big question. What if war wasn't really about destruction at all, but about understanding? And what if the most powerful weapon you could ever have wasn't a sword, but your own mind? And that right there is the absolute core of Sun Tzu's philosophy. He believed victory isn't something you win in the heat of the moment. No, it's a condition you create, something you secure long before the fighting even begins. So you gotta ask, right? How did he even come up with an idea so completely revolutionary? Well, to really get Sun Tzu's philosophy, we first have to understand the world that made him. Okay, so picture this. Sun Tzu lived during what's called the Warring States period. We're talking about a time of just constant, brutal conflict in China. But all that chaos, it actually created this unique opening for truly brilliant minds to come to the front. It was an age where pure strategy, not just brute strength, could literally decide the fate of entire kingdoms. And right in the middle of all that, you have Sun Tzu. He was the general for the state of Wu, and he saw war as something much more than just a physical fight. For him, it was like a massive psychological game of chess. He totally got that the most powerful moves were often the ones you never even had to make. Here's a cool little detail, by the way. Sun Tzu isn't really a name. It's more of a title. It means Master Sun. His birth name was actually Sun Wu. And we might never know for sure if he was just one guy or maybe a whole group of strategists sharing ideas. But what isn't up for debate is the sheer power of those ideas. Okay, so what is this philosophy? What's the secret sauce that has captivated thinkers for literally centuries? Well, get ready, because it's a way of thinking that completely flips our whole understanding of conflict and strategy on its head. This is the big central paradox of The Art of War. You'd think it's a guide on how to wage war, right? Nope. It's a manual for achieving victory without ever having to fight. The ultimate win, the greatest triumph, is to subdue your enemy without ever throwing a single punch. You've probably heard this one before. And look, this famous line, it's not just about spying on your enemy. It's about having a deep, totally honest understanding of your own strengths and, just as importantly, your weaknesses. Victory doesn't come from having the bigger army. It comes from having superior awareness. Sun Tzu was also a master of understanding the delicate dance of patience. I mean, think about it. Waiting can reveal that perfect opportunity, that one perfect moment to strike. But at the same time, it gives your opponent time to get ready. It's a total strategic double-edged sword. So how do you handle that trade-off? How do you know when to wait and when to act? Sun Tzu's logic here is crystal clear. Step 1, make your own position totally secure. If you're strong, hey, you can afford to be patient. You can wait for that perfect moment to just appear. But, and this is a big but, if you're vulnerable, patience is no longer your friend. It's a liability. And a quick, preemptive move might be your only real option. But here's the thing. Knowing when to fight is really only half the battle. Sun Tzu's real genius, where he truly shines, is in teaching us how to win without fighting at all. And the key to that? The art of deception. This might be Sun Tzu's most famous line, and it's also his most profound. All warfare is based on deception. But why? Well, think about it. If you can shape what your opponent thinks is real, you can control what they do. The real battlefield isn't out there on the ground, it's right inside their head. So what does that look like in practice? It means being unpredictable, or as Sun Tzu put it, shapeless, so your enemy has no idea what you're going to do next. It means using bait to lure them right into your trap. It means provoking them just a little to get them to show you their weaknesses. And at the end of the day, it's always about seeking the path of least resistance. You're looking for the elegant solution, not the brute force attack. Sun Tzu's favorite metaphor for this whole idea was water. It's totally formless, right? But over time, it can wear down the strongest rock. And that's what a masterful strategist does. They flow like water. They move around obstacles, adapt to any situation, and are never, ever locked into one rigid plan. And it's exactly that adaptability, that be like water idea, that explains why Sun Tzu's teachings haven't just survived for over 2,500 years, they've actually thrived in all sorts of places way beyond the battlefield. It's wild to think that for centuries, the art of war was basically a closely guarded secret in Asia. But man, has that changed. Its influence has just exploded across the globe. Today, you'll find CEOs using its principles to negotiate a merger. You'll see football coaches using them to design a game-winning play. Even lawyers use this stuff to plan a court case. It's really become a universal guide to getting a strategic edge. So why? Why does this ancient book about war still hit so hard today? It's because Sun Tzu wasn't just writing about battlefields. He was writing about the fundamental nature of competition itself. His real subject isn't conflict, it's clarity. The principles he lays out are totally universal. Know the terrain you're on, understand your opponent, and this is the most important one, master yourself. Because the greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't against some enemy out there. It's against your own impulsive decisions, your own lack of preparation. You know, history is just packed with conquerors who built these massive empires and giant monuments to their own power. Sun Tzu, he left absolutely none of that behind.
What he left behind is something way more powerful, something far more enduring. He left a set of ideas that have literally outlasted kingdoms and empires.
And maybe that's the ultimate lesson here. True mastery doesn't come from forcing your will on something. It comes from understanding a situation so deeply that you can actually use its own energy, its own forces to your advantage. So that leaves one final question. Where is your battlefield? Is it in your career, your goals, maybe your personal life? And how are you going to use the wisdom of Sun Tzu to win, maybe without ever having to fight at all?